Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more. I'm here with Wendy, and I've mentioned in, I think, the last couple of sessions we've done, I've been talking about DNA and, planetary grids and stuff like that. So I think we're going to sort of unpack that a little bit more, aren't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I know that you say I'm an energy girl. This is my bag. I love this subject. Energy grids is something that's come into my consciousness recently. I know people that work with crystal grids and things like that. So, yeah, take it away, Sarah. Tell us what we need to know about grids.
Well, I think, the first thing to say about it is that the planet is conscious as much as we are.
No, I love that.
And the planet, so she's a conscious being. Um, and she has a light body in the same way we have a light body. Now, I've just written a book all about the light body that goes through all the different levels of template and things like this. Whatever, we are a reflection of the, yeah, there we go, there's the one. We are a reflection of the planet as much as the planet is a reflection of us. So the macro is in the micro. You may have heard that expression before, and the micro is in the macro sort of thing. So the light body we have, I mean, at some point I will write a book on what's called the Planetary Templar, which is the planetary light body. But it reflects at very many levels exactly the same kind of light body anatomy that we have. So within the planetary light body are what are called grids that we would see as being either, you would look at them as the meridian systems, the energy systems that run, or you could even, I prefer to sort of think of the aquifers and the water, the waterways and things like this as being the veins, but some people do talk about the grids or the energy lines, the ley lines. These are all terms you might hear used. Or the earth energy lines, serpent lines, dragon lines. There's all sorts of words for them. Some people sort of use that terminology as being the sort of circulation of the planet, but the grids overlay, and there are various grids that overlay the planet in various ways, surround the planet, that circulate energy. And there is effectively a pump system, and it's called the Crystal Heart Network, which sits at various points within the grid systems, which are just relay points for pushing energy on through. And then we have within that we have stargates. We have what are called nodal points where energy grids cross, and they tend to create strong vortexes. So they're places of power, and you'll see a lot of the sacred spaces that we have, the stone circles, the churches, places that feel amazing, where there's beautiful energy. There'll be nodal points. Then we have the stargates, and the stargates are the equivalent to what we would call our chakras, and they are portal ways, they're portal systems. So there's a lot to the whole planetary light body, but with regards to ourselves and the grids, we are connected in through our template. We are connected into the Earth's template. The Earth template, I mean, there's a picture in this book. That's a basic. I don't know if you can see it.
That's
That's
very
a basic template, which is called a core manifestation template that we share with the planet. And there's a point where one of the points within that template and one of the points within the planetary template intersect. So it goes together like that. So and we pick that up as we come into incarnation on the planet. We come into incarnation on the planet, we connect to the planet.
wow.
Now, one of the things that happens with the whole mess that's gone on here for thousands of years now is our connection into the planet effectively gets blocked almost immediately. It's like someone running a blocking frequency.
Okay.
So an awful lot of people immediately fall out of that connection. Oh, I think that's untrue. I think kids retain it for a while, or most kids retain it for a while, and then start to lose it. You know, they're put in front of televisions and surrounded in false frequency fields, and all sorts of things like this, not allowed to play outside because of stranger danger and all of the nasties that people have been taught to be frightened about. Now, I don't know about you, but I've roamed wild as a child. I literally roamed wild. My mum didn't know where I was half the time. And yeah, I mean, there was one incident where things did go a bit wrong, but hey, you live and learn, don't you? Yeah, so the connection, rather than growing and strengthening and being encouraged, and young kids being taught how to work consciously with this connection, until it becomes absolutely innate, it gets broken up, broken off, fragmented, disconnected. And therefore we are standing on the earth, disconnected from the earth, as opposed to standing on the earth, blending, being a fully integrated part of the energy being on which we're standing. And the 12-strand human being, has that through this unity consciousness. We are part of the earth as much as the earth is part of us. There's that complete connection through the consciousness fields. So our ability to tune into the earth grids can be very, very helpful, not just from picking up information, because as much as our DNA holds information, the earth fields hold information. So I can pick the earth histories up through the earth grids, through my consciousness connecting into them. And what's happened is we've had massive overlays, false timelines, false histories that have been fed to us over the last 20,000+ years or more. And part of my function here, one of the reasons that I've come in, has been to sort through those, and I've been untangling the real stories from out of the false histories that we've been told, to re-establish what you might call the organic timeline. But if I can do it, everybody else can do it when they actually re-find that connection into the planet. And the more your consciousness expands into the dimensional fields, the more layers. It's like you start off with a book, and then it's a whole bookcase of books, and then it bit by bit opens up to a whole library, books of information available to you bit by bit.
You've got me firing here, Sarah, because I was thinking about, like you say, fairly free range as a kid, was allowed out quite a lot, roller skating and biking and being out in nature and having those adventures, and then moving on into, a real connection with horses in my youth, in my 20s, early 30s, even into my late 40s, and feeling that connection to the planet through animals, through nature. And then latterly in my life, as that kind of slightly crazy sort of riding horses bit has sort of gone into the background, there's a reconnection for me with nature on a very deep level through both gardening and also flower essences, which has really taken me by surprise. But again, it's,
and dog walking. You could be doing it with your dog walking.
And the dog walking and the cat ownership and all that stuff. It's kind of like, oh yes, all the time, these things bring me deep pleasure. And I know people's pets and gardens, it brings me deep pleasure. And that pleasure is not by accident.
Yeah,
no, it
absolutely.
In my opinion, at least, the wisdom of the planet inviting us back to her.
Yeah, it is.
Waiting.
Yeah, and it's it's reawakening very dormant aspects of yourself. I mean, within every dimensional level in the planet and within us, there are 12 sub-frequencies, and in order to move from density dimension 3 to dimension 4, and dimension 4 to dimension 5, we have to work through those 12 sub-frequencies, accreting them in, integrating them into ourselves, harmonizing our our own frequency with these frequencies before we can move on to the next one. And it's layer by layer. You build layer by layer back what's been forgotten, what's been shut down, what's been asleep.
Beautiful. I know I listen occasionally to the work of Dolores Cannon, and I'm sure your listeners would know her well. And, I know one of the things that she tells us is that we have been everything.
Yes.
Lifetimes. We've been a rock, we've been a cat,
Yeah.
we've been the soil, and so there's that idea that, I love that you remind us that we aren't separate from Earth.
Yeah, nothing is separate from us, and we are separate from nothing. It's just we've forgotten. It's the big forgetting.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely.
And we've been sold this story that we are just these bodies and this personality, not even a full consciousness, a personality within these bodies. And then when we die, poof, that's it. We're dust and ashes and nothing more. It's such a corruption of the reality.
Well, it's almost as incredulous as the idea that 97% of our DNA is junk. I mean, how ridiculous. Why would
I know. I mean, that's the first thing. Why would it's kind of like, how can an intelligent person, and scientists are intelligent people, how can they even begin to believe
by
that?
accident? Yeah.
I mean, if I was a scientist, the first thing I would be asking is, what's this all about? What's in this 97% that we're not understanding and not getting? That would be the first thing, not just dismissing it. Well, I don't understand it, so it must be junk,
If it feels strange, if it feels
Yeah.
odd, if it feels
Yeah.
why have they missed that? Then you're probably onto something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
Well,
these are the questions. I mean, these are the questions a child asks, really, because I was like, why, how,
because they haven't lost that connection.
Yeah, and we need to get back to that. We've had that shut down. It's like you ask too many questions, or don't be so stupid, or we get shut down very quickly as children when adults don't have the right answers, or they don't know, or whatever it is. And they shut us down in the way they were shut down. So these are woundings to the human race.
Yes, I love that. Seeing it as a wounding, the disconnection as a wounding rather than something that's terminal, because a wound can be healed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that feels like a really positive message.
I think it was Jesus that said, be like a child, or no, was it one of the apostles, something like be like a child? There's some whole thing about being like a child and seeing the world through a child's eyes. Such really useful advice at this time, because to go back to that sense of wonderment, that sense of everything is possible. You see, what shuts down is when you're told, oh, that's not real, or that can't happen, or the laws of physics don't allow this. And it's kind of like, oh, well, and then you just put on the blinkers because you've been told all of that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so you put on the blinkers and you continue through your life like that. Well, a child doesn't have those blinkers on initially until you put them on the child.
And then it becomes a matter of survival for them.
Yeah.
Because if they're told they're being ridiculous, or they've made that up, or well, it is what it is, or get on with it, don't be so sensitive. Bit by bit, those rooms in that mansion of theirs, they all get closed off.
Yeah.
They can, but the door can be reopened.
But the door can be reopened. I mean, I've had to go through this process. I'm sure you have, and a lot of people out there have. We are reclaiming what we have lost.
And that reclamation, I think as well as women of a certain age, we can be seen as like becoming slightly disconnected, slightly batty, crazy cat lady or whatever, whatever we get told that we are. Actually no, that again, that is another way of controlling, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Marbles. Well, actually, you're probably never been as sane as when you start to realize that.
And I think once you really connect back into yourself, your true self, not the overlays, people can say these things and it's like, God, you so don't get it.
Absolutely.
It won't knock you off course because your guidance is locked in. Absolutely locked in. But it's while you're busy kind of trying to find yourself that these other more malign influences have control of you and can make you feel bad about yourself and make you feel like you know there's something wrong with you.
I love that. And I think, you know, let's end it on a really powerful note. I came across a phrase not so long ago, and somebody said, well, you made me da da da, whatever it was. And I was told to say, I can't make you do anything. I'm not that powerful. So never give away your power. You know, if you're feeling good about something, then that is a return to the truth. So
Yes, absolutely.
well, I can't wait to see where we go to next.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll join us on this sort of journey of discovery, as it were. And yeah, thank you, Wendy, and thank you everyone for listening in, and see you again next time.
See you next time.
Yeah, bye.